All right. Well, so I work for Florida College of Health Science in Tampa, and I am the director of nursing over here. So I have a little bit of a hand in everything, literally. Miss Caitlin uses quite a bit of Orbund as well. She's not here with us today, but we were both exposed to Orbund. Well, me the longest time ago, so about 5 years ago. Katie's been into it now, I think about 3 years. In the beginning, when we were at our peak of probably over 600 students that we're working with, the nice thing is the simple fact that our instructors could communicate to just a specific group of students, the ones that were in their classroom. Front office, myself, Ms. Katie, whoever needed to individualize, like for finances, they could reach out to a single student. If I needed to reach the whole group because the school was closed to a hurricane, we're in Florida, then I could reach out to everybody and let everybody know, the functionality that way. The fact that the students can get their tax forms T98s, something 1098s, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
They have access to that, which is really nice. The instructors, once we figured out how the classroom setup worked in Orbund, the instructors loved it because they could so easily move things over, because they teach the same thing every semester, move things over and just add in the students that were in that particular class. They liked that particular portion of it, because another platform that we had been using, you had to re-enter everything every single semester. And that's very tedious. That takes a long time to do. So, the students really liked it. The biggest thing is everybody said tech support was great. Many years of medical experience. I actually started out as a disability specialist about the age of 17, 18. Went from there, became a CNA, went on from there, became BSNRN, and I've worked, everything except for ER, OB, and PEDS. I've stayed out of those realms. I've worked, oncology. I've done some home health, and I got into education because I was working in a hospital, and somebody approached me and she says, you're really good at what you do. I'd love to bring you on board. So I've been in the field of education now for about 15 years. Went on and got my master's degree in nursing, and currently working on my nurse practitioner. So yeah, it just kind of snowballed from the bottom up. I've literally worked from the ground. I think just it flows. It really truly flows. It flows very well from front to back. And if there's a problem somewhere along the line, we're able to locate it pretty quick and fix it. Even with our students, whose language is not always primarily English, if they have difficulties, we're able to assist them, whether it be on the front end or the back end, and get them to where they need to go. Most of the time, I'd say it works pretty good. And like I said, as far as getting around, like on the student side of it with the student portals, once the instructors were able to get it set up, the students, once in a while, we'd have somebody, I can't get to it, but most of the time, they were able to access it. They were able to upload their assignments properly. Finances, students like the fact that they were able to say, oh, okay, so this is my tuition, this is what I've paid, this is my balance, and all the notifications just all the way around. Even the instructor's ability to move around within Orbund is needed. In being able to say, okay, I want these particular people to have access to these areas. It all flowed very, very well, front to back. I mean, students, they know they can get an unofficial transcript. They know that they can get their T98s. They know where to go to get these things. And so it's really user-friendly. Just to see if maybe that would be something that they could add into this system, and being able to do the video recordings that can be saved, because I think that would be excellent, because some students are very textbook, a book, they get their information, they're great. Other students need that visual, and having the ability to record a session and allow them to go back over it as many times as possible, which is something we do a lot in my other business with CPR. because we encourage them to do the video portion, because then if they don't understand it, then they can go back and review it. And then when they come in for the hands-on portion, then we can just go a little bit further, and give them a little bit more in detail. And I think that's something that I see in the future that we're going to have more and more and more of. Because I don't know how soon it's going to be that they're going to actually let students back into the hospitals to work like they did in the past, if they do.
Wow.
One thing I don't know Orbund might consider is looking into trying to see if they could integrate with a company called Elsevier, because on the health care side, because they do have simulation programs. And that might be something, I don't know if it can be bounced back and forth or not, but somehow working it so they're easy, that we can get it into Orbund, I guess, so that the students have access to it, even though we still have the Elsevier, but maybe working with companies like Elsevier, seeing about, because we are changing drastically, and due to COVID and everything else, it's crazy out there. We don't know what's going to happen. This C-19 has really thrown a big wrench in things. It truly, truly has. And for me, I know I did a lot of what they call case studies with a lot of my students. So they really, they had to do a lot of work. They hated me for it, but they did learn a lot. But I do wish that we had been able to do, it's hard to do something that's 100% online. There's none of this. There's none of this communication. And because I work with so many students that English is their second language, they don't understand that when you're typing something, you can't do it in all caps. You're yelling at me, So being able to do more of at least this kind of interaction would be better, and finding some way that we can still, I don't know, figure out a way that we can still interact with them more on a personal level, not so much as a technical level, if that makes sense. I would say probably within the next, at least for the next 5 years, we're going to see a lot more of the hospitals are going to become even more leery of letting people in. Same with the nursing homes. When it comes to students, I mean, okay, I'm an old nurse. I'm in my 50s. I'm an old nurse. So when we did clinicals, we were in clinicals all day. It was hands-on all the time. There was no such thing as lab. And things have flipped now, and the boards of nursing are saying, not all boards of nursing, I can only speak for Florida, but Florida Board of Nursing, it's 50% simulation, 50% can be actually hands-on. And right now with COVID, there for a long time, almost a year, it was 100% simulation. So I think we're going to see more and more sliding over to the simulation side of it. For one, then the hospital doesn't feel like students are a liability. Nursing homes don't feel like students are a liability if something does happen. A simulation, I can kill the person. They're going to come back for the next simulation. That's something that can't be done in the real world, obviously. But just those kinds of things that would allow students to make mistakes but not cause harm, because in the healthcare profession, that's one, we don't want to cause harm. Right. With the simulator, we can cause the harm, and Sim Joe's coming back,
right?
And that's something, because that's one thing. It's really hard to teach a student what can cause harm and still allow them to, kind of step over it without causing harm. It's strange. But I think we're going to see more and more where the hospitals and the nursing homes and such are going to become more, not necessarily leery, but not as willing to let students in because of the viruses and stuff like this. It can spread so quickly. And it wouldn't surprise me if a lot of facilities start saying, yep, they don't have the vaccine, they're not allowed in. So Orbund to me is just one of probably the better programs I've ever worked with. And I've worked with a lot of different platforms. And even on the instructor side, I've worked with Orbund on the instructor side, and it's good. it runs so much better. And like I said, as an instructor, not as the director, but as an instructor alone, I've worked with probably 6 different platforms, and Orbund has probably been the easiest one I've worked with. Orbund's great. There's so many aspects of it that we really should have been using in the beginning that we weren't, that we're using now, that are fantastic. I've already recommended you twice, getting ready to recommend you a third time. 2 of them are for RN programs, and one of them is for a CNA HHA program. And the reason being is because, can't stress it enough, tech support's been fantastic. Because there's that back end help that sometimes is needed, and the simple fact that when you put information into this system, it's really pretty easy to access.